Okay, Kate, you have a quorum.
Okay, terrific. Then let's start the meeting at 9:10 a.m. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Hi, Shelley. She on?
Yeah, she's here.
We are going to move number 8 up to number 2. So we're going to welcome Mark. Thank you so much for coming to talk to us. We look forward to hearing what you have to say.
Okay. Thank you.
Hey, Mark, can you hear us okay?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. So thank you for hanging out during the delay. We appreciate that. So Mark Carter, he's from Real Term Energy, and he had reached out to the chair of the select board and I via email, letting us know that they work on LED streetlight projects and electrical vehicle charging projects. And I responded that we've recently had CMP upgrade our streetlights, but we'd be interested in hearing what he has to say about electric vehicle charging stations. So I invited him here, and that way he can kind of speak to all of us at once and save me from having to try to lose anything in translation when I share it with you. So thank you, Mark, for being here. I appreciate it, and the floor is yours.
Oh, thank you very much. And it's a pleasure to be here. I'm not sure how much you shared with the team, but I actually grew up in Mexico, Dixfield. So I'm fairly familiar with the Rangeley area. Been to the Red Onion a few times. So but, as a company, we are nationwide, but I live down toward Freeport, or right outside of Freeport now. So, and we've got a lot of work in New England and in streetlights, but then we've kind of expanded into smart controls, and then we got into things like public Wi-Fi. We're doing some of that in Auburn, as well as cameras, air quality sensors. But one of the things that seems to resonate right now is electrical vehicle chargers, because there's not enough infrastructure in most municipalities for what is expected to be a very fast and growing market on that side. So with that, because we do a lot of streetlight work, one of the products that we saw that really caught our attention was a pole-mounted electrical vehicle charger. And I will share my screen to give you. Could I have screen sharing enabled? Thanks, Joe.
Should be all set.
There we go. So this is actually a picture. This is actually down in Rumford at their park. I don't know if you know George O'Keefe, but he's their economic development manager down there. So we did their lights, and at one of their parks, they wanted to put in some level 2 chargers. So what we really like about this is it's pole mounted, so there's no trenching, excavating. You don't have to put up bollards. You're not taking up ground space. And as somebody that grew up in the Western Mountains knows, this all looks fine and good, but what makes it even more attractive are times like this, right? So having to work around snowplow operations, not have cords dangling and such. We believe that, especially in the Northeast, but even nationwide, generally this is typically mounted 8, 10, 12 feet up off the air to prevent against vandalism, but George wasn't concerned about that, so he wanted it mounted lower, but typically it is mounted a little bit higher. And you just scan the QR code here, and the cord, there's a mechanical retractor that will actually just drop that down to about 3 feet in the air, where somebody can get a hold of it, and then by pressing a button, they can bring it over to their car. So that's kind of what the product looks like. It could be either a single unit or a double. So this is actually 2 heads on 1 pole. And you can see that there's actually 2 separate station numbers and 2 separate QR codes. So, and if it's in a pole, it generally can go 2 parking spaces either way. So it doesn't have to be right next to the pole. It has about a 25-foot cable. Other than that, it's probably most level 2 chargers are fairly similar. They're all somewhere in the 7.2 to 9.44 kilowatts for the most part. So 30 or 40 amp at 208 to 240 volts. And it's just again, we can put ground mounts, but we really gravitated to this design to get it up out of the way, reduces the chance of tripping, cord damage, accidental or what have you. And again, relieving the trenching and all that work, you're feeding, you can see on the left-hand side, CMP would have to make the connections down to a meter box. And out of the meter box, there's service that comes up to I think that's a 50 amp breaker box that's connected at the bottom of the dual unit, which is enough to provide the full charge for both units. So not drag this up per se, this is kind of what it looks like. I can send you videos, or I can show you videos showing the mechanical retraction and how and when you unplug it, it automatically, without doing anything, it automatically retracts back up into the unit. So with that being said, are there any questions?
This is Kate. I have some questions.
Sure.
And excuse me, but I don't have an electric vehicle, so I'm a little new at all of this. So I'm not quite sure how this works financially. Would the customer pay for the electricity? Does the town pay for the electricity? How does that setup work?
It's completely configurable by the town. So there's a separate software package which manages that, which says how much do you want to charge. So if you're paying 12-14 cents a kilowatt hour by CMP, you can charge 20 cents, or you can charge 25 cents. Or right now, George is charging nothing in Rumford just to try to get usage up, right? So they're taking a hit short term. And you can charge a per connection fee. So maybe it's 25 cents or 50 cents that every time somebody connects to it. So you get to pick exactly what you want to charge. Do you want to have peak hour rates? Do you want to charge a little more in the summer when you get a few more tourists up there than normal? You have that capability to configure that based on a time or time of year, or and you can change it anytime as well.
Okay, and the cost of the unit?
So installed, I think this is about $15,000 for 2 heads. So about $7,500 each. All said and done, we used one of CMP partners on Target, which I think is their largest electrical subcontractor they have in the state.
Okay, so the town of Rumford is then being a fuel provider, basically, right, for electric vehicles?
At this point, yes. And again, they want to get it onto Google Maps. They want to maybe pull people off of Route 2 and maybe just driving through that, and they're looking at some fast DC chargers as well, and maybe some additional level 2 chargers on their main street. But this was a good first location because it was in a park and it's right across the street from a new, I think it's a Comfort Inn being built there. So they thought that between the two, that this would get enough utilization to make it worthwhile, and that I don't think they're looking to make money off this per se, but I think they think this is a benefit service to their businesses as well as their residents to have some infrastructure. What their long-term plan is to monetize this, I can't say for certain.
Do you have experience with gas stations and other different stations offering these services as in addition to their service? So I'm just thinking of the competing with our local businessmen on some sort of supply, and how that works, and if it should be at a traditional type of a fueling station.
Well, that would be a commercial concern, right? So if a gas station wanted to say, listen, I'm willing to invest, typically they would invest in what's called the fast DC charging, right? So these are the 50 kilowatt, 100 kilowatt, 150 kilowatt stations, which typically just the cost alone is probably going to be $40,000 to $80,000. That's uninstalled for those types of units. Now is certainly a business decision to say, you know what? And again, that's part of the reason I think even George is looking at this, where a resident may park downtown and shop for a couple hours, and a level 2 is fine. But if somebody's going from, Augusta to Burlington, Vermont, cross Route 2, and they're low on fuel or electricity, I can't imagine that they want to sit and wait 6-8 hours at the park while their, vehicle charges up. So there's definitely different use cases on where a fast DC charger is going to be needed and required as opposed to level 2. So I think there'll be a mix, but I think gas stations that want to invest in this, and there are obviously some safety things. You have to have a minimum of 50 feet separation from any fuel or fuel storage. From that, you'll have to put a whole separate, kind of a switch gear in there to support that, because that's a 3-phase connection. Not, this is like a house connection, a 208 or 240 volt split phase connection on a 50 amp breaker. So it's right off the secondary of a transformer. These other high power ones are, if you pay $40,000-$50,000, the rule of thumb is, double the cost to cover your install costs. So you're probably $80,000 to $150,000 putting in a fast DC charger, depending on how big you want to go.
Okay, thank you so much. That clarifies some things for me. Thank you.
Yeah, you're very welcome.
I have a follow-up question, Kate, if I can ask Mark.
Please.
So can you describe to me how towns have, in your experience, handled the startup with this? So say Rangeley is interested, do we have to come up with the $15,000 and we work with you and you facilitate it? Is that typically what happens, or is there a grant program or some other mechanism by which towns get their foot in the door with this?
So, there's 2 ways to approach it. First, there are some monies, not a lot. Efficiency Maine, I believe, is offering $350 rebate to nonprofits and municipal and tribes, but that's up to 2 units, right? So you're looking at a $700 cap of what you can get from Efficiency Maine. So there's a little bit there. If the town wants to own the units, right? So you want that as part of your asset inventory, you could do that. Or you could look for ways to actually augment that, or to have that rolled into some other energy performance contract or some sort of virtual power plant. So something that we're talking to actually down the Black Mountain is that, as a nonprofit, they get hit with certain demand charges from CMP when you exceed certain power limits, is maybe put a 200 to 250 or maybe upwards to a 500 kilowatt battery storage with some EV charging units. And that could all be completely financed by a company like Real Term Energy, right? So we would do that because you can monetize some of the monies through the EV charging, but with the demand response programs that CMP has, and those will be enhanced this year closer to what National Grid and Eversource has, is that during the summer periods, there'll be an opportunity for, when you have demand response period, you could actually put energy back out onto the grid to help stabilize the grid and actually get paid for that. So there's probably a much better financial story to tell with battery storage combined with EV charging than just EV charging alone, because I think to your point is that we could put 10 in today and it could all be used quite frequently, and you're making money and it's great. And there's nothing stopping a gas station or a private owner or somebody at the Rangeley Inn from putting 10 units in themselves, and you cut your utilization in half, and now you're not making any money. So it's a hard financial play to sit there and say, I'm going to put these in to make money. I think a lot of cases they're trying to support, especially tourist towns. If you're going to have a lot of folks from away that are apt to have electrical vehicle chargers, they need to have some infrastructure to want to take that vehicle up, up into the mountains. So it's not all economic.
Thank you.
Yep. So I'm happy, if anytime you have questions, you want some more information, this is I'll just leave it out there. If down the road it percolates up and you think it has some merit, you can call me at any time. I'm up to Rumford a fair amount of time, so it's not that much of a extra trip to get up to Rangeley, but I do hope all the snow falls up there, not in Freeport, I can tell you that, but
No, they're all here.
We do too.
yeah.
Kate, it looks like Shelley has her hand up.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So I have a question in regards to maintenance. Is there some kind of maintenance contract that would be in addition to the 15,000 installation for the two heads?
Yeah, that's the excellent question, because Rumford were doing all the maintenance of their street lights, so we just rolled it in. So if you wanted us to do the maintenance, we could do that. It'd be a separate maintenance contract, or if the town wants to do it themselves, either to subcontract to either because here you wouldn't even need necessarily a CMP authorized contractor, because you're not up in the grid. So you could probably use any licensed master electrician or electrical contractor that had a master electrician on staff. So if you had some local electricians that you wanted to use to maintain that, you could.
Do you have any more questions, Shelley?
I'm just thinking, like, it's so cold up here and it freezes and it melts, it freezes, it melts. So I mean, we know ourselves when we're getting gas, sometimes the thing to take it out freezes. So what is the alternative for something like that? If the hose is supposed to feed down?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I don't have firsthand experience other than because Rumford's just got installed in October. So we'll have a little more working knowledge at the end of this year. We're actually hoping that getting the cord up out of the ground prevents it from getting snow covered and ice and preventing that, as opposed to laying on the ground where snow could kind of crust it in, and then you're gonna have to hand shovel it out before you make a swipe with a plow blade or something. So but at this point I don't have enough firsthand working knowledge to say that it's not going to potentially get frozen up.
That's all I had.
Yep.
I have Kate, I have another question, if it's okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so Mark, when you opened up, you said you're a national company. So do you have, we're talking about cold weather, obviously that's 70% of the time in Rangeley, but Rangeley also has a national scenic byway that comes through, which those are spread out over the United States. Do you have any relative experience to that, where you maybe somewhere out west where it's not cold, or where you've been on a highly traveled road? Have towns put these along a scenic byway or something like that you are aware of?
No, we haven't. So this is relatively new for us as we're expanding kind of our energy portfolio. There's tons out there. I don't know how many Tesla and ChargePoint have out there now. So there's lots of data out there, but we don't have any firsthand working knowledge to say if I don't know. We just got the contract for streetlights in Boulder. Whether or not they're going to be adding any, they're looking at a lot of IoT and air quality and a bunch of other things, but we haven't actually installed any. So I'm sorry, I don't have any actual real knowledge for you there.
Well, that's okay. I was just curious. I'd be curious if you could keep us, or keep me at least, updated on what happens in Boulder. That would be interesting to know what shakes out there.
Yep.
If you can.
No. Yeah, I'd be happy to do that. And Thornton are our first two in Colorado. So yeah, it's obviously a pretty good ski area. So
yeah, exactly. Okay.
Well, thank you all for your time, and hope you have a great season.
Thank you so much for coming, Mark. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. I believe the next on our agenda is the minutes.
Can I just ask a question before we do that? Don't we already have 3 or 4 Tesla charging stations in town?
I'm not sure.
I know we do at the Red Onion and BMC, and I thought Pleasant Street Inn had them. right?
I think I've seen something too, Laura. I'm not exactly sure where I saw it, but
Yeah,
I mean,
I'm 100% sure that the Red Onion and BMC have them. I don't know what the success rate, how much they get used or anything, but I would obviously caution before we do anything, we find out whether those are even being used. And Steve should know whether his is being used.
I also think your comment on the scenic byway is an interesting one because there could be some routes through the DOT that they might provide it versus the town having to come up with that kind of scenario and maintenance. And I think Shelley has some really good questions about maintenance. Who's going to go check these things?
The other thing is, it seems to me that Saddleback would be a perfect place to have it. And they could market the fact that people could come to Saddleback and have their car
Yep.
charged.
Yep. For me, downtown, I know you said there's one in front of Red Onion, and I have no idea if people are if there's any kind of volume of cars like that. But downtown parking areas would probably be something to avoid, right? Because I think we would want to make sure people could go in and park and not have somebody going in to park to charge their car and
Right.
sit there for an hour. So maybe our public park, if we were to consider something, it would be in our public parking areas. So that's all. It's new to me. I'm learning.
Yeah, and the reason I brought it up, Kate, just in case anybody was wondering, obviously I wanted to hear the presentation, but I was curious as we begin to develop or plan to develop some of these parking areas, if we have an interest as a community, I'd want to know about it beforehand so we could kind of fit it into the mix. So let's just bring it up to break the ice on the conversation and see if there's an interest. And there are other folks that offer this. I know CMP has a program also that I did reach out and talk to them about a year ago, but they filled up their queue and then they lost one of the people in the queue, but I haven't heard back since. So there are other companies. I'm certainly not saying that this is the end all be all. Just was somebody that was interested, and obviously they work in as you heard in Boulder on other things, so they've got quite a history there, quite a breadth. So that's all.
Sounds good. All right, so the next step would be the minute notes.
So Kate, I had emailed out a while ago, actually before I saw Shelley's email Friday, I had forwarded an email from her a while back. And I don't know if you were able to open that or not. Was everybody able to open that?
I see the September 13th and the 27th and the October 18th.
I'm going through right now. I'm sorry. So we're missing the last one. Is that correct?
So I submitted September 13th, the 27th, and the 18th. And then I also submitted January 4th.
Those were just sent to us today, yeah. But I don't see those in I don't see them.
Shelley, it looks like the email on Friday that you sent to me did not have an attachment to it.
All right,
And I didn't realize that until this morning. I'm sorry about that.
that's all right.
But I would make a motion to accept the other 3 minutes. So they look fine to me.
I'll second.
Any discussion?
Discussion. Thank you, Shelley.
No,
No. All in favor?
I,
Aye. So let's put the last one on the next agenda, the
Okay.
January. So we'll have time to review.
Mhm.
All right, we're on to old business. I believe, Joe, the first item was the comprehensive plan.
That's correct. And last time I think I let the committee know that all of the boards and committees in town are looking at this document here, which is a breakout of the action items of the comp plan. I'm not sure how far we got into it last meeting, if we talked about how you wanted to approach that, if you wanted to start at page 1 and just kind of, without getting too far in the weeds, just look at what might be the RREOC's responsibility on each page. Or if you want to get into that in more depth at your next meeting, I'm not sure, but the select board will be interested in having feedback in March, which is a month and a half away now. Just basically a kind of a benchmark of where we're at, and not just this committee, all committees and boards and even staff also. Just a snapshot of where we're at as we begin to review this comp plan. So it's up to you folks if you want to go just take a look at the first page and go from there, if you want to table it to your next meeting.
I think we might as well do a couple pages at a time in each meeting, and then it'll spread it out. And
Yeah.
I don't have it in front of me. I don't know. Can you pull it up on the screen?
Let me try.
Actually, I'm gonna. Should be under Town of Rangeley, right?
I think that Tracy sent it to us all.
Yeah. So one of the things that the first one that says, it says include the town's historic heritage in economic development strategies and promote historic resources to Rangeley's economic development strategy is one of our responsibilities. I think we're thinking,
Yeah, Shelley, can you just tell me what page you're? I just got it pulled up. I'm sorry. Can you,
I'm on page 1.
on the introduction?
On the comprehensive, Rangeley comprehensive plan, goals, policies, action.
Okay, so that is, I'm looking at the write-up, not that layout that you have in your hand.
Oh, I just have this, yeah, I just have the spreadsheet.
Yeah, I'm just gonna see if I can get to the spreadsheet. Hold on. Okay, can you just, I won't look. Will you say that again? The
Sure.
sentence?
Yeah. Include the town's historic heritage in economic development strategies. And then the action is to promote historic resources in Rangeley's economic development strategy.
I've got it up now so I can see it. I can't see you now, but
So I'm going, like, I don't know, I'm trying to think of specific projects that we've done with the history, but I know we've been taking into account the historical nature of the town when we look at projects, that we're not doing anything to interfere with that history. The only project that was like kind of straight history, well, kind of connected to history, would have been getting to the downtown walking path in Aquasic. That was gonna be in conjunction with, that was what Bill was working on. That would have been an historical kind of walk through the town with little, information panels that were going up and about. And then the information panel, though, that you did do up at the overlook there in Rangeley, some of those information panels are part of the history of the town. That's off the top of my head. I'm trying to,
Wouldn't the scenic byways be a part as well, or no?
yeah,
Yeah,
Scenic
that's what I was
byways.
gonna say, for sure.
And then we'd already did the safe walk for kids to school. We've already done the sidewalk going up to past the IGA to the overlook.
Yeah.
So I think we keep it focused and it's like on plan with the select board.
Yep.
The other one I don't really feel that is ours, is on the same page. It says, make a financial commitment if necessary to support desired economic development, included needed public improvements. We're more of an advisory for that. That's more of the select board, I think.
We are an advisory, but we advise the budget numbers that we've been asking to try to help let the selectmen know how to plan for some of these activities by putting in, our requests. So I mean, it is kind of a joint thing because we're asking for economic development money, so to speak, to be put into these things.
Well, it's
We have had small donations, and it was a while ago. It was like $1,500 from Poland Springs too. That was,
Because it also says under action for public investments that are needed to encourage support economic development, identifying the magnetism to considered to finance them, local tax dollars, creating a TIF district,
yeah,
and a community development block grant or other grants, bonding, etc.
right. So the other thing when we did the, oh my God, Laura, the project we did, that was a group project between the trust and the health center, and
Mm-hmm,
we got the money. That money went funded through the town of Rangeley.
right.
That helped us do the signage.
Yep.
In the name of the, that was a Northern Forest
Right.
grant.
So to me, this is basically saying that we work on finding the money if necessary, looking at grants and stuff, and we clearly are responsible for doing that. That's Daryl's.
Yeah.
I guess I have a question. How are we supposed to be putting together a document answering these things? I don't understand the mechanism on how we're reporting this in March.
So as we go through it, Kate, my thought is that we'll take this commentary that you're doing right now and make a note on this sheet. So you can't see it, or maybe you can on the screen. I know it's pretty small, but all the way over on the right, there's a column at the top that says complete. I would probably augment that to say progress. And we're just looking to see if there's progress on it. So we can make a note, report a note to the select board of, is it happening? Has it been happening? It's just a progress check-in, really. It doesn't have to be complete. It just has to be, a snapshot of where it's at.
So
No,
you're
I
just
would
gonna
say-
you're gonna make notations on this and you are presenting it, or that's what I'm kind of, or
Yes.
are we- okay,
Yes, as long as I can keep up.
okay.
So then that would be the whole, working to get the TIF together, the forest grant, some of the, even working with some of the other organizations to do some grants. all of, from the very beginning, Daryl's grant to get the sidewalk.
And several other grants too, whether it's the DACF grants for boat docks, there's a lot of stuff. I'll compile all of the grants from my previous work and where we aspire over the next couple of years. And I'll tie it into the downtown plan, which lists several of these items. And also the old economic action plan, which had a matrix. We haven't really done much with actually updating that. So I will make sure I get that all updated by March 1st as well. And we'll see that we have made significant progress in a lot of areas, but there's a lot more that we can do, especially with expanding funding sources. We sort of had a little hiccup with the whole COVID thing, but that also creates some opportunities now with federal funding, ARPA, infrastructure funds, and so forth. So I will try to lay all that out in a separate funding matrix because that needs to be updated anyhow. If that makes sense.
Yeah, and that kind of touches on item number 13 as well.
Yeah.
Kate, yeah,
Yep.
may I interject? Can I go backwards up? I've highlighted it in yellow. And I know Shelley was talking about this, but I was rummaging around trying to find this document. I didn't catch it all. This item where it says include the town's historic heritage and economic development strategies, promote historic resources. So a week or two ago, I met with the chair of the Rangeley Lakes Historical Society. And I've given the select board a little note in their packets tonight about the fact that they're probably not going to open their Historical Society building on Main Street this summer. They've got some structural issues.
Yeah.
In those discussions, it feels good that I've broken the ice about the need for at least identifying, and this comes up in other places in this document, but identifying where the historic locations are and to some degree protecting those. But this one is talking about, having a financial strategy in place or an economic development strategy in place. This could be deeper than just economic development. And I'm not trying to overload it, but I'm just trying to say that there may be at some point, I might recommend a discussion about a historic overlay district, which is a planning and zoning issue, but it does tie in with economic development. So I just wanted to kind of put that out there that, at the very least, we're discussing at least one historic property with them in town, and we should probably continue those discussions and think about what other historic properties need to be included in economic development strategy. And I don't have all those answers, but I just wanted to touch on that. Thank you.
Joe, that would be good to inventory those. We may come up with a list of a half a dozen or so that could be those historic sites and properties.
Yeah,
Aren't they registered?
There's one or two that are in the register. I know that building I was talking about, Jelly, is on the National Historic Register. But that work that you're talking about, Dale, actually, I think is the Historical Society. They're listed in this. So I have broken the ice with them, and maybe I can kind of pass this off to them if they're interested. But in terms of the economic development strategy, that's us, this committee and me. So anyway, thank you, Kate, for letting me talk about that.
Okay. What's our next item?
I'm trying to find that. So that's the one below the one that Shelley just talked about. I think it's this one right here. I'm trying to highlight them in yellow as we go down through. Can you see that on your screen, what I'm doing?
Yep.
Okay,
Yep.
good.
I'm trying to multitask and do it on mine too, and it's not working.
Yeah, so yours doesn't have the number 13, but if you look over here, there's the number 13 and I just highlighted.
Yeah.
So go ahead, Kate.
No, that's it. So are we? All right, I got it. So coordinate with regional economic development organizations and surrounding plantations and towns as necessary. So that you could definitely utilize the work we've been doing with the communities for the internet, even though we're not there, but.
Yeah, that's a good one. Are there any other ones that you think we should bring up in those quarterly meetings? I mean, we don't have to think of it right now, but any other economic things you'd want to talk about with the plantations?
Well, one of the things, Joe, we should visit AvCog's comprehensive economic development strategy stuff to see what's new with that, and make sure it matches up, or we could offer input, because they're approaching it from a super region, obviously, but for our Rangeley region, we should sort of segment out what are some of the key points to add to this matrix.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm not sure there's a definite things that come to my mind, but I think that just the fact that we are trying to have more quarterly meetings and we try to have representation from all the plantations on the board is hopefully that we're increasing the communication with the plantations and Rangeley.
And again, I think you could, you know, the regional economic development, I mean, we've been working with these different organizations throughout the state, like the Northern Forest community, to, you know, to work on projects. We've been involved with with Donna, you know, from the state, who does the main tourism, and those types of projects that we've been engaging in to try to help with the economic development of the entire region.
Yep.
We did the signage too.
Oh, yeah. And don't forget the transportation piece. Tons of layers of programs through MDOT match up to the economic development stuff, as well as the infrastructure. And all of the millions of dollars that went into the airport upgrade and the Northern Border Regional Commission for the Loon Lake improvement. So there's a lot of stuff that we have accomplished already, and we'll try to make note of all of these things.
On the clearly defined economic proprieties, I think we've done that multiple times. I always think it's something that should be done every year. We still have some things on the list that are of high priority, like the internet, and also, you know, affordable, available, whatever, workforce housing type projects. Those
Yeah.
things.
Well said, Kate. And that is all in that economic action plan. And one of the things I've been remiss that I haven't really tied it into every year. Because it says right in the plan, we segue into the opportunity initiatives for economic development, and then have an annual review by our EOC. So we haven't really done that fully officially, but what I'm going to do is take the old plan and make an up-to-date plan with the new matrix, and see if we could you know, merge that into the information that's wanted on this exercise for the comprehensive plan review.
So Daryl,
Any
you're saying
input?
there is, oh, sorry, Kate.
No, I'm sorry, Joe, go ahead.
Daryl, you're saying there is a Rangeley Economic Opportunity Plan. You're calling it the Opportunity Action Plan? So
Yeah.
it does exist? Okay.
Yeah, it was done 2016, 2017, and we started to review and update some of the matrix, but then the last 2 or 3 years, we haven't gone back to that. But I pulled it out and I thought, you know what? It actually is pretty much on point for most items, because we talked about moderate income, attainable workforce housing. We talked about a lot of these economic and infrastructure initiatives, capital improvements, you know, broadband, it's all in there. So what I want to do is go through that and put a new draft together that's timely now for this first quarter of 2022, and then get feedback from this committee, maybe as an ongoing agenda item, as Joe has the comprehensive plan agenda item, but we need to do this anyway, so we could then get it positioned to do our annual review, see what needs to be added or so forth.
Kate, how involved are we with Chamber of Commerce? I see that's in this line and comes up in a couple more. Is that still a relevant item, do you think?
When we first started, we did have representation from the Chamber of Commerce, so it was on the board. And then that dropped after like year 1 or year 2, I can't remember exactly when. We have talked to the Chamber of Commerce when needed, but their active participation has not been forthcoming as far as I'm aware, but that doesn't mean they're not doing things on their own. I don't want to
Mhm.
short sight that. I just haven't had those conversations with the chamber. Is it needed? Yes, because the chamber is our marketing organization for the community. They have a very important, they support our businesses. So, should we be working together? Yes. We are working with the chamber with the grants that we got for the signage and the dark skies. And we actually just had a follow-up meeting on that grant not too long ago, maybe a month ago, Laura, I guess it
Yeah.
was. And the chamber was very involved in that because there was a whole marketing plan that was part of that work too, that like a branding piece and how we want to promote and represent Rangeley. And they've been very involved in that. So there were steps coming out of that meeting of, we were going to stop doing certain things in the marketing side and kind of look at different marketing opportunities that might make a bigger impact than the work we were doing. But that's in process, and I believe the chamber's still highly involved in that. Correct,
Okay.
Laura?
Yes, that's
Yeah, okay.
perfect.
I actually think someone from the chamber should actually be a part of the economic development. And I think if we advertise more about the things that has been done, that hopefully we can get more to be involved. I mean, the town donates $50,000 in their marketing. And then the plantations also donate. So I don't know. That's my personal opinion.
I've always thought the chamber should be involved as well on our data, at least even just if it's to feedback to make sure that it's coordinated efforts between the two groups, that we each know what the other's doing,
Right.
is not a bad thing. I just not sure I haven't really been working with the chamber myself, so I'm not sure if there's like a good representative on the chamber that we could look towards. And whether that person would be willing to, commit to another responsibility.
Isn't Dawn a part of the chamber? I mean, I think it's her car that I see there early in the morning.
I don't know, but she's asked not to be on our, if that's new. Dawn was on the board and then she left the board of the chamber. So I
Okay.
don't know if she is actually working for the chamber now or I would assume she's not on the board if she's there early in the morning.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I just saw her car this morning.
Kate,
She
would
did say
you,
she had a new job, so she might have, she might be customer service.
Oh, okay.
Kate, I have two questions. Number
Sure.
one, would you like me to reach out to the chamber and see if anyone is interested in attending or joining the RREOC? Number one.
Yeah.
Okay, and number two, while I've got them on the horn, shall I ask them for an update on where they're at in terms of this plan? Because they are listed on the next 4 items. Or maybe if we can get somebody to come right away, they can get us an update. But if not, maybe they can give us an update by email or something. I can forward this to them, have them look at it. Would you,
Yes and yes.
is the committee interested in that?
Yes.
Okay.
All right, so we're getting to 10 o'clock, so when do we stop here? Is that okay?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I think, I'm not sure where we're on with the agenda, but let's kind of highlight the top things that we need to do. I guess one of the top would be just update on the internet interlocal.
Yep, I can be as quick as I can with that. met with electronically but by telephone, communicated with Linda Jones from Dallas. I sent out a kind of a blanket email to all the plantations, giving them another week and a half or so. This is a couple weeks ago, to give any more commentary after your last meeting regarding the interlocal. I heard none. So Linda has sent the information. She knows that. She has since sent the information she had to Dallas's attorney, who is going to begin the process this week of drawing up the interlocal agreement document. And the other thing I have on NTIA is that Simon from CCI let us know that the NTIA review has now been pushed into February.
Oh, geez.
Yeah. So
I do think it's probably pretty close to time to be giving Peggy Schaefer a call to see what she suggests we do for funding. Because they've got to be getting some money from the infrastructure bill. I'm not sure if they are, but I thought there was internet communications, broadband communications in the infrastructure bill that was passed federally.
I
That
can
was going to
address
the
that,
state.
Kate, if you would like. Maybe I'll do a moment or two. I've been in communication with Peggy Schaefer every couple of weeks, and they finally have the rulemaking, everything done. They have the new main connectivity authority, and then the Connect Me Authority. And I spoke with Andrew Butcher, who's the new head of the one that's going to administer the 28 million bucks. And then they have a $10 million allocation, and they're working that through. There's finally a grant portal. I think I might have forwarded that to you, Joe and Tracy, because I've attended a half dozen of these webinars with them, and they were trying to define how they were going to do the phase one rollout of this. So that is rolling out this first quarter. So I will look at that and compare notes with Joe on that as far as what's involved with the procedural issues to get us in the queue for some type of funding.
Yeah, my point here is we just don't want them to forget about Rangeley on this list, and that we're ready to go when we can get the money.
Yeah, but I've informed Peggy of that, and Andrew Butcher of the new Maine Connectivity Authority, because we want to be first in the lunch line, so to speak, to get this project rolled out. A couple conversations ago with Peggy, we did talk about, well, the town, they really don't know yet on the NITA, because it keeps getting delayed, but the town will have to get the safety numbers, get the interlocal agreement together, and then look at what can be done, whether there's going to be a partial bond for some of this. So that's still to be determined, but we should know where we are, I think, within the next 30 days for sure.
Okay. Joe, again, what's any other updates that we should review right now?
Very quickly, attainable housing. Matt Tier met with the select board a couple weeks ago, and I expect that they'll follow up tonight as a board and talk about the presentation and what their thoughts are about attainable housing in general. Quasic downtown planning. I am in communication with the director of planning from Maine DOT. They have some token amount, I believe, in the work plan for scoping of the Quasic Village improvements. They're very interested in this still, and the director let me know that he'd like to set up a meeting with me, with Daryl and I, maybe this week, as soon as this week, to talk about scoping. And scoping would be just a conceptual plan that we and the select board can take to the public and get their input on how to move forward with a Quasic. So there is money programmed in the work plan. I don't know how much. It wouldn't need to be a lot to get this concept done. And then program progress for economic development. Daryl touched on that earlier. I'm just looking to kind of summarize the last couple of years and do a perspective look forward where we're heading. Those are the big things.
Laura, do you have any questions?
No, I guess I'm just back on the broadband. So we're just waiting to hear from Linda as to when, to her feedback from the attorney.
Yes, Linda has communicated with the attorney. I was copied on that. That was either Friday or over the weekend or something. I saw that. It's very recent. And the attorney is still interested and will begin working on it this week. And I'm happy to update you as those things come in.
Okay.
But she'll begin drawing up the agreement, as I understand it, this week.
Oh, great.
Yeah, I don't think it'll take that long, but I don't really have a timeline. I think it probably could be done in a couple weeks, but I'll be communicating with Linda on that and sharing that as I know more.
Okay.
Shelley, do you have any questions, concerns?
No, I know that we got an update on the TIF policy
Okay,
in our packet, so we'll be looking at that tonight.
Mhm.
That's the only thing else that I can see that.
so I guess we should look at a calendar, and I don't have one in front of me, so if you could help me out, as to 2 weeks from now, Monday.
Today's the 24th, 30th,
14th.
31st.
2 weeks is the 7th.
Yeah, Monday, the 7th.
Oh, yeah, that's right, the 31st, sorry.
Okay, let's do Monday, the 7th at 9 a.m.
Okay.
Then that following one would probably have to go out at least 3 weeks after that, because I think that would hit right in the middle of vacation week.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So we'll start
28th?
with the 7th, and then we'll probably have to schedule out either a month, 3 weeks, or a month.
Okay.
Okay.
I just thought of one thing I wanted to question, I guess. The town recently sent out something, at least I saw it on Facebook, about committees that were looking for representation, and the Economic Development Committee wasn't on that list. And I was wondering why, because we clearly need more members.
Yeah.
I'll have to look into that. I'm not sure why. I know I put something out about planning board. And I'll have to check and see what that list looks like.
Yeah, it
And I'll
has
make sure
everything.
something gets out.
Yeah, it had the airport on. I just saw it too, airport and some other stuff. So if we could put a specific one for the economic opportunity, that would be good.
I will do that.
Thank you.
With our next meeting that we have, are we gonna plan on doing some, to let Joe know? I mean, I know he's getting the budgets ready. Is there anything that we need to list down? Is he all set with representing what we have?
No, let's put it on the list for next meeting. I mean, we talked about it kind of in theory on the last meeting, but let's have it written down. I'll try to have that done and sent out to everybody, and we can talk about it. All right, any other questions?
Nope.
So I motion to close the meeting at, Shelley, what time is it?
10:09.
10:09.
That's what we got.
I second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you all.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Stay warm, everyone.
Right,
Bye.
bye-bye.